shot towards the end zone. Underthrown, touchdown! Trey Tucker to the end zone it goes! Caught! Touchdown, Armand Benz!
Bearcat Blitz solo shows this week. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Russ Heltman, and we are presented by Bet Online here on the Believe Network. Russ Heltman with Cincinnati Bearcats on SI. You can check us out at Cincinnati Bearcats on SI, which is si.com/college/Cincinnati. Also check us out, the show that is on Talking Cats with Russ Heltman, our YouTube page, also on Spotify, Google, Apple, whatever podcast platform you subscribe to. Please subscribe to our show there, rate, review it. All that good stuff helps us grow and helps the show get to more Bearcats fans just like you. Big show to recap and a big week ahead, and just going to be me this week amidst Big 12 basketball media days. Neil Meyer traveling out there to Kansas City for that, and just things not exactly lining up with us being able to record this week amidst his travels. So we will have him back to recap all the things he heard with just a week left in the offseason when he gets back next week before the Bearcats basketball team gets underway with their 2024-25 season. We'll touch on the exhibition against Ohio State. Do more than touch on it. We will recap it in full in the back half of the show. Front half of the show going to look like a homecoming recap where we have the Bearcats winning another game at home, getting the job done 24-14 against Arizona State, and now sit just one game back of covering their preseason 5.5 betting win total set at most major sports books. And we also have them one game away from getting to bowl eligibility with a big late night affair in store against the Colorado Buffaloes in just about a week's time. Got that to start the show. Got the exhibition recap after that. Cincinnati destroyed Ohio State 80-62. What does it mean? Well, if you are taking words from Wes Miller, doesn't mean a whole lot. We'll get to his comments afterwards and just all of the temperature gauging around the program as we sit, as of this recording, just 2 weeks away from the start of the 2024-25 Cincinnati Bearcats basketball regular season. Homecoming recap to start, and then we'll take a quick break, and after that we will dive into the Cincinnati exhibition against Ohio State, the Care Source exhibition game, which was a really cool event and a great way to promote mental health awareness around Cincinnati and the entire state in general. Before we do all that, though, we are presented by Bet Online. It's the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything sports betting. Every stat, matchup, breakdown, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. With the largest catalog of odds on everything from football, MLB playoffs, NHL, NBA, to political props. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slots games. Head to the website today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering, Bet Online. The game starts here. Take a quick break at the top of this show, and we'll get to the rest of all the UC action after these messages from our great sponsors. Cincinnati gets the job done at home behind a pairing of strong defensive performances over the past couple of weeks from Tyson Vite's outfit. 24-14 win over Arizona State without Sam Leavitt. I don't know exactly how you say his last name, but they did not have their starting quarterback in this one at Arizona State, and it showed mightily throughout the contest. A really good job by the Cincinnati Bearcats defense. They lead the way here, and they lead the recap once again. Coming off of that 13-point performance against UCF, they allowed just 14 points against Arizona State for a unit, people, that is now, I believe, allowed just 71 points total in conference play so far this season. That's the fewest of any defense in the Big 12. All of the kind of worry about how this defense would hold up, especially after the Texas Tech game, have largely come to pass. They've cleaned up the missed tackle issues over the past couple of weeks. When you think about Cincinnati and the issues they had against Texas Tech, it was palpable over the first really the entirety of that game. I believe they missed 15 tackles overall against Texas Tech, and then they proceeded to really clean things up in the ensuing 2 weeks against UCF. Missed tackle total went down to, I believe it was 9 total missed tackles in that game. Yes, it was. And then in the following game, we have in week 8, very good again from this defense. Missed tackle total at 12, so not necessarily what you want to see. You always want to see that below the double digit Mendoza line right there, but did enough overall down to down, snap to snap to contain this offense and especially contain Cam Scatabo. 17 carries, 75 yards, just 4.4 yards per attempt. This was one of the top 10 leading rushers in the entire country entering this game. I mentioned the missed tackle tally that you see did tick up a little bit in this one, but that's to be expected against the guy in Cam Scatabo, who behind Ashton Jeanty, according to PFF, had forced the most tackles of any running back in the country going into this game, behind Ashton Jeanty's just mind-blowing total. Overall, just 4.8 yards per carry allowed from this defense. It was very, very strong snap to snap. I thought Dante Corleone played a really good game in this one. I thought Antoine Peak Jr. was fantastic in this one. Jake Golday was fantastic in this one. Jared Bartlett had a really good game here when you look at the defensive side of the ball. And Jonathan Thompson as well. He had one of his best games as a Bearcat. You had 4 players with 7+ tackles, including Peak, Thompson, Bartlett, and Golday. Bartlett with 1.5 tackles for loss. You had Antoine Peak Jr. picking up his 4th forced fumble of the season. That was a big tipping point moment for the Bearcats defense. It set up Cincinnati to go and take a lead early in the first quarter, and ultimately kind of propelled them through the rest of the game when Cincinnati was able to get that forced fumble by Antoine Peak Jr. They get it picked up. I forget exactly who recovered the fumble, but Peak has been a revelation from a walk-on to never really projecting himself even to get to this point of his career. He said that in the post-game press conference. He was like, yeah, I never really imagined that I could be out here making plays like this when I first came to Cincinnati as a walk-on, but Junior is playing like senior right now. And the way this defense has an eye for the football and an arm and a hand for the football right now is just really impressive. 3 more forced fumbles than any Big 12 team in the conference right now. 9 forced fumbles overall to 6 for the next closest program. 8 fumbles recovered. So they're not only forcing those fumbles, but they're doing a great job of not trying to pick a ball up, scoop it, and score. They're doing a great job of just falling on footballs, making sure that they can recover these fumbles and set their offense up with an extra possession and not make it a waste to let the ball get on the ground for their offense. And Antoine Peak's right at the center of that. Another 9 tackles from the safety. He is one of the 5 highest graded safeties, I believe, in the entire nation on PFF's grading system right now. And that continued after this week. 4 solo tackles, 9 total. Jonathan Thompson, another young player playing very well. Not playing very, very well, but playing solid football after some injury hiccups he's had this year. And once again, I mean, Dante Corleone had a nice game once as well. 4 tackles, 1 solo, had a half tackle for loss in this one. He continues to eat in the middle of that defense. And overall, all in all, it was just a consistent performance from Cincinnati's outfit on that side of the football, and a tip of the cap to Tyson Bite. What he has done, the play calling that he has instituted for this unit, I think has been miles better than what we saw last year. It might be a blessing in disguise that UC had their defensive coordinator taken away and into the SEC this past offseason, and they had to go get Tyson Bite from Iowa State, take him from that linebacker coaching unit and make him a defensive coordinator for the first time in his career. And what a job he's done with those defensive coordinator duties. He's dialing up the right pressure packages at the right time. And they made life a blur, a literal blur for Jeff Sims in this offense. 52% completion, 155 yards total. Sims just could not consistently hit anyone besides his main receiver in this one, Jordan Tyson, who went 6 catches for 108 yards. Outside of that, nobody else above 33 yards receiving. Clamped them up, locked them down, and essentially kept this offense from consistently doing anything over the majority of the game. 7 points in the first quarter, 7 points in the third quarter, and obviously not enough second half production from the offense, which we'll get to in just a moment. But all in all, this defense and this program has come together, has weathered the storm of some early hiccups this season, is bought in together, which was evidenced throughout all of those post-game press conferences from this homecoming victory 24-14 over Arizona State. And now they have a back half of the schedule where they don't control their path to the Big 12 championship game, but one good break here or there and consistent winning continuing from this program could leave them in that spot. We are talking, people, midway through this season, a season that had a kind of a high bar projection, maybe of 7-8 wins from most of the most optimistic prognosticators. Now there's a real chance that UC could be playing for a Big 12 championship game. It's not a high chance. It's not something I think will ultimately end up happening, but it is there. And a unit that will have to improve a little bit for them to get there is the offense, which we'll recap right now on Bearcat Blitz. 0 points in the second half. I thought Brendan Sorsby was up and down. Once again, not his best game as a Bearcat. Struggled on the outside, throwing to outside receivers in this game. When you think about the interception he threw in the first half, trying to target a player who was not open in any capacity over there. So it's another game with an interception for Sorsby's third consecutive game turning the football over. But he did a nice job, I thought, of spreading the football around. 23 catches in this game by Cincinnati's receiving core. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different players, or 8 different players catching a pass, 7 for positive yardage in this one. Xavier Henderson got unlocked a little bit more with 8 catches for 67 yards, 4 catches for Joe Royer, and 4 catches as well for Tony Johnson in this one. But the run game is what powered this win, and the offensive line is what powered this win offensively for the Bearcats. Overall, the defense is what ended up allowing them to save face and keep Arizona State at bay. But Corey Kiner, those legs churning. I talked about missed tackles a little bit earlier with Cam Scatabo and his ability to break them. Corey Kiner was breaking tackles all afternoon on Saturday. He's another guy that's in that top 10 list of most missed tackles forced this season. 22 carries, 99 yards, did not get in the end zone, but consistently keeping the chains moving, consistently bringing Cincinnati's offense successful runs to the table, enough thunder for the lightning to strike in Evan Pryor. One of the best blocked runs you'll see from this Bearcats offensive line all season. They opened up a cutback lane that was as big as a Mack truck that Evan Pryor could fit through. He goes to the house on a 55-yard touchdown. That was the biggest play of the game and the most impactful play of the game, I would say, from an offensive standpoint. 4 carries, 67 yards for Pryor, and then another 2 touchdowns added by Brendan Sorsby, who not necessarily great with the arm in this one, but channeled some of those frustrations into busting through tacklers at the goal line, busting through arm tackles in the red zone, especially in the deep red area, and using his size to make sure Cincinnati got enough red zone touchdowns out of this contest to be able to win it. So 3 rushing touchdowns overall, plus a field goal from Nathan Hawks is enough to get the job done against Arizona State. And now, as we kind of wind down this recap on the football side of things, very intriguing position for Cincinnati going into Colorado. 10-15 kick. They're ranked number 33 nationally on the Athletics FBS 1-134 ranking now. They've jumped almost 20 spots with that win over Arizona State, and they're facing the number 38 team on that list in Colorado. Both teams, it's funny how we get to this point of the season, how we get to week 9 in the season, and the Bearcats and the Buffaloes, both right near the precipice of the top of the Big 12. 2 teams, 2 programs that were mostly doubted going into the season. Not a lot of people thinking that Colorado or Cincinnati were going to be able to figure things out with their respective second-year coaches. Both 3-1, both coming off big victories over Arizona teams at that, with Colorado taking out Arizona in a big way as underdogs on the road this weekend. They blew out the Wildcats behind Shedeur Sanders and that high-powered offense. So 5-2 Cincinnati going up against 5-2 Colorado. And I think the winner of this game has a decent shot, a roughly 50-50 shot of ultimately playing in the Big 12 championship. I don't know. I'm not going to predict the winner of this game will play in the Big 12 title game, but I think there's a decent chance. And it got a lot bigger with Texas Tech's loss to Baylor on Saturday night. That was huge for Cincinnati. It does not necessarily open the door for control of their Big 12 title game path, but cracks it open just a little bit. You got 2 undefeated teams at the top right now in Iowa State and BYU. UC plays Iowa State in a little less than a month's time. So they could get the head-to-head win and the tiebreaker in that scenario over Iowa State there. And they play Kansas State in the next month to 6 weeks as well. Can get the head-to-head win, tiebreaker in the conference standings in that sense. If they're able to pull off those 2 wins and stay at the 1 to 2 conference loss mark through the rest of the season, it's very possible they could be playing for a Big 12 title game, for the Big 12 title in the first week of December. BYU, undefeated right now. Texas Tech, 1 loss, and they have the win over UC. So they need one of those teams, they need one of those teams to lose down the stretch, and they need it likely to be Texas Tech. For Cincinnati, I would be shocked if they went the rest of the year without losing a game and matched a potential 1 loss in the Big 12 BYU team. But I mean, it's just amazing that I'm even bringing up these scenarios with a little less than half of the season remaining. Cincinnati right in the thick of this Big 12 title race, not necessarily in control of their path yet, but they will be in control if they get 1 more loss from Texas Tech down the stretch here and they continue to win in the Big 12. What a job by Scott Satterfield in his second year. What a job by this program to bring everyone together, get on the same page, get these leaders involved. The way they involve these team leaders and the success it's wrought from the involvement of these team leaders to bring in the right attitudes from the transfer portal, bring in the right mentalities from the transfer portal. We're seeing it in full swing right now, and the transfers have been the most impactful players on this roster, on this turnaround, from top to bottom. We've gone through it over the past 3-4 weeks on the show, just running down how impactful the transfers have been for Cincinnati over the first half of the season. Not just the transfers this year, but transfers from last year who stuck around and went through the pain and bottled the pain and now letting it explode into reverberating success in the first half of the season. At least we'll see if Cincinnati Bearcats football can keep it rolling into the final 5 games of the campaign. 5-2 overall, and what they got, I think only 2 home games remaining. Yes, just 2 home games left, at home against West Virginia on November 9th and at home against TCU on November 30th. Sandwiched is a road trip, 2 road trips to 2 of the teams above Cincinnati, 2 of the few teams above Cincinnati in the Big 12 standings right now, at Iowa State and at Kansas State. Big finish coming up for Bearcats football. We'll get to a big finish on the show here across an exhibition look at Cincinnati and how Wes Miller's squad did in their Friday night, not counting, make sure we know this, note this for people, did not count contest against Ohio State. All that coming up after this message on Bearcat Blitz. But first, I want to tell you about Cherry Bundy, one of our other great presenting sponsors. And we love the Cherry Bundy tart cherry juice here. I love drinking it after my workouts. It's made with natural products and ingredients. There's no added sugar here, just the sugar from the tart cherries, which are one of the highest antioxidant fruit or vegetables in the world. It's 100% juice in these little 8-ounce bottles, which is the kind of main product that they sell at cherryBundy.com. But there's a bunch of different products you can choose from at CHERIBUNDI.com, available at Amazon, their website, which I just mentioned, and retailers nationwide, including Publix and Kroger. They're used by 10 of the last 11 Super Bowl champions. They're used by the UC basketball and football team, among 66 of the 67, Power 4 conference football teams. So many great benefits from drinking Cherry Bundy, either to start your day or after a workout. It includes reduced soreness, increased recovery. They contain a naturally occurring melatonin in these drinks to help improve sleep, and it helps to support immunity. Grab Cherry Bundy today at cherryBundy.com. That's CHERIBUNDI.com, and experience the benefits of tart cherry juice. 100% tart cherry juice, nothing added. I love drinking these after my workouts. I was a little hesitant at first. I was like, tart cherry juice, is that going to taste good? It tastes pretty good, people. I really like these drinks, really enjoy them. And they're a great way to kind of get an added boost with your hydrating, as opposed to just normal water or whatever you drink after a workout. So check out Cherry Bundy. Support them today at cherrybundy.com. That's CHERIBUNDI.com. Back after these messages on Bearcat Blitz. Fun time recapping the homecoming victory for Cincinnati football over Arizona State. We'll see if they can keep it going against Colorado on Saturday night. Late night affair. Get your coffee ready for that one, people. 10:15 p.m. Eastern kickoff. It was an earlier night, to say the least. Much earlier night on Friday with Cincinnati and Ohio State matching up on the hardwood, 80-62 in the CareSource exhibition game, headlined by Cincinnati's performances of Dylan Mitchell and Seamus Lukosius. Mitchell 6 of 6 from the field, 7 rebounds. I believe he had a block. Yeah, he did. He had a block sequence where he went block right down the floor, alley-oop from Dan Skillings. That was probably the highlight of the entire evening. Cincinnati controlled this one from start to finish in an 80-62 win. Mitchell mentioned Lukosius had 7 shots in 17 minutes, went 4 of 7 from the field, 12 points overall, and had 2 assists in this game. Wes Miller would probably smack me upside the head for thinking this, but from what I saw in that one, people, this is a dark horse national title contending roster. That's what this team is. We'll see how Ohio State ends up. We'll see how UC ultimately ends up, but just sneaker, moving on hardwood, basketball, bouncing on the floor, looking at the nuts and bolts of the talent that Cincinnati put out there and the way they worked together in their first real action in front of any crowd, it was stifling defensively and majestic offensively. I thought they looked fantastic outside of a few things that you would love to see being able to be worked on following an exhibition like this where you look really good. They scored 80 points, people, with 21 turnovers on offense. 21 turnovers, and they still scored 80 points on an Ohio State team that is, I believe, like top 35, top 40 nationally on most of the major sites. Yeah, like I'm looking at Bart Torvik right now. Ohio State 33rd nationally in their overall preseason projections. Like, this is not some just sisters of the poor that they brought in here, some D3 school to get a little tune up and get on the floor and run sets together for the first time as a team against an opponent. This is a legitimate Big 12 solid outfit that they ran up and down the floor for the entire time. Now, they did not have Ahmad Bradshaw in this game, did Ohio State. He was going to be a big piece of their front court, and that was huge. They did not run normal kind of sets, not sets, normal lineup sets, normal lineup configurations where guys are getting the same amount of allotted minutes that they would in a normal game. I get all that. And I will say, I preface all this by saying that, but I don't know how you can look much better than Cincinnati did while committing 21 turnovers and doing the same thing that Ohio State did. Like, a lot of players for Cincinnati got time in this one that are not going to play as much in the regular season. And a lot of players got less time, namely CJ Frederick, than they would have gotten in a normal game when they're not trying to get a look at other guys like Rayvon Griffith and Tyler Betsy, the likes of which both looked fantastic in this one. Both look like they can be solid contributors to this lineup. And that's amidst CJ Frederick getting 4 minutes in this game. He's healthy, people. He's healthy. CJ Frederick is healthy. He's ready to roll. And they only needed him for 4 minutes out there because they just wanted to see what other guys could give them. That's one of the best shooters in the country. And he wasn't even really accessed in this game. Like, the depth that UC has me very excited to cover this program for the next 6 months. I cannot wait to see the lineup configurations that they go through. I cannot wait to see how it all comes together in the end. And all in all, 41 points in the first half, 39 in the second. You had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different players score at least 5 points in this one. I think I can end it on that. It's going to be a fun fall. It should be a fun late fall, beginning of winter, and total spring for Cincinnati Bearcats fans as they get a really exciting outfit to root for. Wes Miller was adamant saying that This doesn't mean anything. They have to practice on Sunday like they lost, all that good stuff. All the stuff you would kind of expect a coach of Wes Miller's stature to say after his team, with 3 weeks, 2.5-ish weeks left until the season, beats up on an in-state rival like they did in an exhibition game. And that's the key thing. It did not count. And he hammered that home, saying that they cannot rest on their laurels. I'm paraphrasing here, but saying they can't rest on their laurels. They have to get after it. They have to act like they lost this game, and they have to improve on the things that they did wrong. But all in all, I think it was about as perfect a scenario you could ask for if you're Wes Miller. You destroy Ohio State, you make your fans super excited, and your team commits 21 turnovers, so you can go ballistic in practice about that the next time out. All three of the top boxes checked right there. And I think those are boxes that are going to make Cincinnati even better, along with Ohio State. Both programs should be better throughout the long run of the season, having played this competition. But that's the thing that stood out. People like, this is a top 35 opponent, top to bottom, preseason projection-wise, and it never felt close the entire time at home. When you have expectations like I do, when you have a ceiling like I do of a possible Final Four dark horse contending team, that's exactly when you want to see what you want to see for the first time going out in real game action. For Neil Meyer, not with us this week, wishing him safe travels to Kansas City. We'll be back on Thursday. I'm Russ Heltman. We'll be recapping all the good action in Kansas City from media days throughout the middle of this week. We'll be diving into the preview of Colorado. I'll give you my full thoughts on that game and more. Hope you subscribe, rate, and review the show, and we hope to have you back in the Thursday show for all the good action preview in Colorado and recapping Big 12 media days on the basketball side. A lot of fun stuff happening in Bearcats athletics. We're here to help cover it all on the Believe Network. This has been Bearcat Blitz, presented by Bet Online.
6, Ritter to the end zone, looking for Pierce. Did he hang on? Yes. Touchdown. As back as I've been around. Here he goes again. Busts free. Jerome Ford down the sideline. Foot race. House call. Touchdown. 79 yards. Big run in the Peach Bowl. This is a big one, too. And it's going to go all